Astoria, Queens were investigating the death of one of their own. The victim has been identified as NYPD school safety agent 27-year-old Mye Johnson.
How can a cheerful celebration of life turn into a crime scene? What happens when the person you once loved the most becomes your worst nightmare? The story of Mye Johnson's last moments blurs the lines between love and violence. A young woman who was having a birthday party with her twin sister had not known that the night would end up breaking her. Where there is happiness, there is darkness, and a safe environment turns into a death trap. Stay tuned for all the shocking details, and if you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe for more true crime stories.
Ready, 1, 2, 3.
My leg, baby.
But who was Mye Johnson beyond the headlines? Before tragedy struck, she was a vibrant young woman, full of life and promise. A mother, a twin sister, and a protector. This is her story. Mye wasn't just another name in the crowd. She was a beacon of hope for many. Being only 27 years old, she worked as a school safety agent with the NYPD, making her yearn to serve the community. She was not just another cop. To her colleagues and the children she protected, she was the calm in the storm, the one who always had a smile and a reassuring word. But what happens when the protector needs protection? What happens when the person who devotes her life to others suddenly finds herself alone in the face of danger? As a single mother, Mye's life wasn't easy, but she embraced every challenge with strength and grace. Her love for her child was unmatched. She'd often tell her friends that becoming a mother was the best thing that ever happened to her. She would light up at the mention of her little one's laughter and their dreams of a bright future together. However, on the night of December 26, 2021, all of this came to a drastic and disturbing end.
Extend condolences to her family. She had a 7-year-old son, so it's especially troubling since it's, a couple of days before Christmas.
When such incidents of gun violence take place, we tend to think about the figures, the wounds, and the deaths. Yet for all those numbers, there are countless broken lives, families forever changed, and oceans of sorrow. As for Mye, the stake was life itself. And as for her loved ones, the stakes were about a future that was about her presence, her laughter, and her love. But how did it come to this? And why? Let's dive into the chilling events of that night and the person responsible for turning a night of celebration into one of tragedy. It was meant to be a night filled with happiness. Mye Johnson and her twin sister had big plans. They were celebrating their 27th birthday, and what better way to go out in style? The celebration was to be held at Soleto Lounge, a well-known fun place situated in Astoria, Queens, popular with great music, dance, and merrymaking. This night, however, would end very differently. Mye was a mother and the NYPD's school safety agent who had devoted her life to ensuring that people were safe. But this begs the question, who was her protection on the night that she needed it most? As the music played and drinks were passed around, Mye was there to mark her birthday. But as the clock struck midnight, what was supposed to be a celebration of life took an unexpected turn. Someone from Mye's past was watching, lurking in the shadows, and determined to turn her night of joy into one of terror. Her ex-boyfriend, Quason Williams. What began as a happy event turned into something unpleasant. Williams aggressively pulled a gun and started shooting. Chaos ensued. Mye suffered multiple gunshot wounds, as well as 2 other bystanders who sustained injuries. In an instant, gunfire changed the context of the event from a celebration of life to the sad occasion of death. Once full of life, lying on the lounge floor was Mye Johnson, with a heartbroken twin sister now next to her, helpless.
Police say that 27-year-old was pronounced dead at the hospital.
She has since been identified as NYPD school safety agent.
How can a birthday party turn into a funeral? What could push someone to such violence as to kill on a night meant for love and joy? The answers lie in the background to explain such in the case of Mye and Quason Williams. There was nothing uncommon about the relationship between Mye and Quason, the 2 young lovers enjoying life in all its facets. Mye's ex-boyfriend, Quason Williams, wasn't always a source of fear. In the beginning, there were moments of love, joy, and companionship. But as time went on, the love Mye once felt faded, replaced by a sense of suffocation and dread. Williams grew increasingly possessive, and the once sweet moments became overshadowed by threats and intimidation. It was not only jealousy, it was an obsession. Mye had made efforts to move forward. She had attempted to carve out space for herself, with her child and her work taking priority over everything else. But Williams, like so many abusers, was not ready to give up control. Mye thought leaving him would free her, but sometimes love turns to obsession, and sometimes walking away isn't enough. In the month before the shooting, Mye had voiced to her friends and family some worry about Williams's behavior. She knew he was dangerous, but no one could have imagined the extremity of his actions. What had begun as a beautiful night turned out to be her final moments on the planet. And all of this was due to a past relationship she had already severed ties with. What could push an individual over the edge? How does an ex-boyfriend become a murderer? What solutions can be drawn to the consequences such as this? To understand the answer, an examination of domestic violence and its severity, and more often than not, its overlooked rates, must be done. Mye Johnson's story is tragic, but it is different. Each year, thousands of women suffer domestic violence, and many of them suffer the same fate. Most people assume that crying out for help, such as to the police or court, and then obtaining an order of protection in trying to move on in life, could save a few women from the men who claim to love them. For Mye, she was the protector. But she wasn't protected from the one person she needed protection from. It has been reported that 1 in every 3 women in the U.S. has ever suffered at the hands of a physically violent partner. The cycle of control, possessiveness, and violence can escalate quickly, often too quickly for intervention. As the story twists, Quazon Williams is now imprisoned, facing charges of murder and attempted murder. However, no amount of incarceration can restore Mye to this world. Her death leaves a child without a mother, a daughter who will not come back to her parents, and a community mourning the loss of a woman who dedicated her life to keeping others safe.
Very young, it's unfortunate. The whole situation is unfortunate.
What measures can be put in place to prevent this from reoccurring? What strategies must be employed to stop the cycle of violence before it claims more lives? The Mye Johnson tragedy is a reminder that domestic violence is one of those issues that needs to be addressed. This is not the case of bad love. It is a matter of control, power, and fear. Much too often, the warning signs of the violence are being suppressed or simply ignored until it reaches a point of no return. For every Mye Johnson, countless other women are suffering in the cycle of abuse, living in fear of whether they will live until their next birthday or not.
In every 3 women around the world, ranging as high as 43% in South Asia. Violence which is most often in the hands of boyfriends or husbands at home.
As a society, we need to do more. We need more sensitization on the nature and prevalence of domestic violence, more helping hands for those fighting against domestic violence, and more justice that assures us the safety of these threats and their prevention before they murder. Mye Johnson didn't have to die. Her story could have ended differently, and it is up to everyone to make sure that future stories do. The heartbreaking account of Mye Johnson's death on her birthday is a story of hope, emptiness, love, and violence. It serves as a strong reminder of the consequences of close relationship abuse and the necessity for more education on the subject. A woman's former partner took her life, but change must be her legacy so that no other woman has to endure the same fate. Will Mye's story spark the change needed to protect those at risk? Or will her name be just another in a growing list of women taken too soon?